Hey guys, what's going on? Dale's Leatherworks here with another walking video for you today. You know, during my recent talk with my friend Chelsea, who's on the carnivore diet, I asked her a question, you know, because she's been on carnivore for years now. And I said, what's it like now that you've been in it for so long? It's sort of like now that you're in this place, you like have these insights that you wouldn't normally have if you just heard it from somebody. So like now that you're in that place, like communicate what it looks like from there, right? Give us that perspective. Now that I've been walking every day consistently, I made it my goal to do 12,000 steps a day, but actually realistically, I've been hitting 14, 15, 17,000 steps a day recently. And that's not bragging, but it's just kind of like, that's where my headspace is at, is I just kind of see myself as a walker now. Shout out to Bordon Boots, wearing my charcoal stag deer skin by Galoon Bordon Boots on the 79 last plain toe. Love them. They're starting to form real good creases. The point of this video that I wanted to do, I just want to keep doing updates as I get sort of revelations as I go through this and share those to encourage you guys to walk more, because I think the more research I do and the more I actually just do it, the more I'm learning like so many things, because I'm now walking during all my breaks at work, all my lunch breaks, I just walk. And then by the time I get off, get dinner with the family, and then I spend like a lot of the evening walking, not an hour, sometimes like the whole evening. It's like all I want to do now. And I edit my videos while walking, I answer emails while walking, I network on Instagram while walking, I can text my family, I can bring my family and walk. So that's what's been going on. I've kind of like transitioned my life into just getting all my daily tasks, getting as many tasks done while walking as I can. Yeah, things are changing, weight's continuing to come off. My belt, my waist size is down 2 full inches now, probably 2 1/4. And I'm not putting pressure on myself. No pressure, like that's the other big thing. Don't put pressure on yourself, don't freak out, don't have those failure panics. Just keep doing it. You know, the results are encouraging, but just keep doing it. Like, this is my lifestyle now. It's not like, oh, once I hit my goal weight, I'm gonna stop this. Like, no, this is actually how I plan to live my life now, like in a state of walking. And that's why I had this big epiphany. So this is the lead up. So I like to play thought experiments. I like to entertain ideas. I'm not saying that I actually believe this to be true, you know, but I like to entertain ideas. Kind of like your legs are auxiliary pump systems from my last video. Yeah, I see my legs as alternate hearts. Well, I just had this other epiphany. I don't see walking really as an exercise. What if walking is not an activity? What if it's not an exercise? What if you think of it like this? Think of it like it's actually the most natural human state of existence is walking. So I don't see it as an exercise anymore. I just see it as I'm a human, I'm alive, and this is what I do. And this is my natural state of being. So what if walking actually is our natural state of being? And if you think about it, it intuitively makes sense. We've only had the automobile for a century, more or less. And then before that, it was horse and buggy for a few thousand years. Not everybody even had them. So most people throughout most of history had to walk, okay? That was their primary means of transportation, was just walking. All day. They didn't even think about it. It's just like, yep, that's just how life is. Walking is life, actually. It gives life. That's been scientifically proven. It extends life. And by extending life, it gives you more of life. But also, what if we stopped seeing it as an activity, like, or a chore? What if we just said, you know what? When I'm not committed to other tasks, what if I'm just on the trail, just walking? That's just where I live. This is how I live. This is where I live, actually. It's kind of how I'm seeing it for the time. So some other things, now that I see walking as sort of like a state of existence and not as an activity. If you're in a place where you could actually have like a walking pad at your desk, if you work on a computer, that would be even better. But honestly, like when I think about the times in my life when I was my most skinny, it was when I was doing the most walking. In the military, when I had a 29-inch waist, all that marching, that steady state cardio, or that category 1 cardio when your heart is under 100 beats per minute. And here's a clip from Greg Doucette kind of explaining that a little bit.
And so there's no world where it would ever make sense yet. Back in the 90s and 2000s, we had IFBB pro bodybuilders consistently, routinely doing 2 hours plus a cardio a day. Did you not follow this time? I'm 48. Perhaps you guys are young. Maybe you're only 30. I don't know. I'm 48. I remember IFBB pro bodybuilders competing in Olympia stage. These guys were doing 2+ hours of cardio a day. Why? Because it works. It's slow, steady state, zone 2, perhaps even zone 1. Easy cardio. Not the kind of cardio that's going to tear down your muscle. Not talking about running. Not talking about cardio where you're getting sore. It's just walking. I'm not saying he needed to do HIIT cardio for hours and hours on end, but I am saying that Larry Wheels was way out of shape, too far out. He had to lose 24 pounds, and to do that, 3 hours of cardio, that would have helped more often than last time. You need to be at 5% body fat. You need to be shredded. And you're currently at 8%. You need to lose 3% body fat in 2 weeks. Would doing 3-4 hours of cardio a day not get you there faster? Remember, you're burning 90% of those calories as fat. Would it not be faster? Would it not at least give you a fighting chance? Now remember, you should have dieted longer. Should have started to prep at 16 weeks out rather than 12. But no, there's never a time ever that I would ever suggest cardio ever to get shredded for competition. Really, if Chris Bumstead were to call me up this year and said, Coach Greg, I'm 260 pounds and I'm competing in 2 weeks. I need to weigh 242. I just didn't diet hard enough. I'm at 8%. What do? I'd say, Chris, 4 hours of cardio a day. But yet, nope, there's never a time that would work. He would just say, Chris, just don't eat. Well, I think that doing 4 hours of walking a day would be beneficial. Maybe even 6 hours. Maybe even I'd tell him to walk 10 hours in one day and 8 hours back and do something for 3 seconds. But hey, there's never a time that could work.
Yeah, I really like that Greg Doucette guy. A month ago, I didn't know who he was, but his videos are both entertaining, but he's also a smart guy, and a lot of people don't like him, but I don't know. I see him as a pretty genuine dude. I just see him as a guy that's sort of, is trying to coach you to being the best version of yourself, and he's gonna give you the down and dirty. He's not gonna BS you.
What part of 3 hours do you not understand? There is no such thing as a low-level cardio when it's 3 hours. I could literally walk in circles around this room for 13 hours straight, and my heart rate would stay under 100. And so that is low-level cardio. It's called zone 1. Very easy recovery cardio. In the Tour de France, on their days off after racing for 6 hours, do you know what they do? They go for a 2 or 3 hour bike ride. Zone 1 cardio, easy recovery. And you know why they do that? Because if they don't do that, they cramp up, they seize up, and they actually go slower the next day. And so, yeah, you can in fact do 3 hours of cardio, and it's easy. It's called Zone 1, and it's for recovery. Every advanced cyclist, triathlete, anyone that knows anything about cardio would know this.
I didn't mean to turn my channel into like a fitness channel. It's still a boot channel. But if I'm having these powerful epiphanies that I think could help you guys, help my followers, help my audience who love boots, and encourage you to use your boots more, and encourage you to get a better patina than last time, to quote Coach Grade, harder than last time, better than last time, then good, mission accomplished. I don't believe in keeping good information myself. So I'm so thankful to YouTube and social media. A lot of people blast it as like this, it's this terrible thing. Oh, we need to go back to the old times. It's like, really? Okay, hold on. Let's play another thought experiment, okay? I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. Let me ask you guys a question. If you were born around about the same time I was, or before, in your childhood, how often were you bored? Were you bored every day? I know I was. I was bored all the time. Even with Nintendo, even with Game Boy, even hanging out with my friends, even watching crappy, actually the movies back then were much better than the ones made today, in most cases. Less agendas, just more focused on entertainment is what I mean. Back when Star Wars wasn't dead. Even with the advent of a lot of these technologies, I was bored a lot, and that's the honest truth. I don't care how social you were, and I don't care how wealthy you were still bored a lot of that time. You have to admit that to yourself. And before that time, my parents growing up, they said, oh, we weren't bored. It's I just don't believe that. I just don't believe that. I do think that in our modern era, I think like anything, we could utilize technology for good or for bad. It's like a gun. It could be used to protect you, which I love guns. Huge Second Amendment supporter right here. Love guns. I know some people in the Discord might not share that view, but I am absolutely 100% Second Amendment supporter. But I am a veteran, so would you expect anything else? Anyways, I think social media, if you're using it for good things, to better yourself, to enrich your life with education. Think about all the history classes you didn't pay attention to. I'm going down this huge historical deep dive right now into Europe and the Vikings and paganism in Europe. It's fascinating. And that's just this week. Last week it was a completely different subject. But think about how bored you were growing up and going to school, ignoring all those lectures. Now you could actually learn that stuff if you're interested in it. Now you could get interested and get engaged and actually go learn that stuff. I think that's great. Are you kidding me? You think the 90s was better than today? I don't. Honestly, I think it's just amazing what technology and social media and streaming has done for our lives. Everybody has access to this information now. It's not stovepiped. It's not siphoned off to people who could afford it or whatever. Now it's at everybody's fingertips. I love it. Could learn a language. Started brushing up on my German recently. So easy. Like, it's just at the click of a button. It is incredible. Never has a time existed like this. I don't like it when people get all nihilistic and start saying like, oh, these days, oh, it's so bad these days. It's like, no, maybe your life's just bad. Mine's not. If you can't see the upside, if you can't see the positives with YouTube, if you don't like YouTube, you got Rumble, you got BitChute, there's a lot of good stuff over there. We're able to truly enrich our lives with knowledge these days. I'm just in my tiny little corner of the internet. I'm just sharing what I'm learning about walking. I'm a boot nut, absolutely love well-made things, absolutely appreciate well-made things, and my appreciation of those things continues to evolve. And with that, I think my content should kind of evolve too. Because, you know, I like doing boot reviews. I like looking at these boots and getting them on camera and talking about them, sharing my thoughts and my insights and sizing information. Hopefully that saved people some mistake money. But also, most important, I always say this, I was always a health guy first. I was always a crazy health guy first. I don't think any of us could truly be healthy without being just a little crazy, a little experimental with ourselves. And right now, last I checked my steps, I was at 14,000 steps. Since I started filming this video, I'm probably up to 15,000 now, which is great. And I'm being patient, still being patient. I'm seeing results, but I'm not rushing this because one theme that I see consistently, what Greg Doucette talks about and what Tom DeLauer talks about, Mike Israetel, you know, among many, many other experts in the field. These are just the three I've been listening to predominantly lately, but before that I listened to many others. One thing that I'm hearing sort of consistently pop up recently is you can lose this weight and you never have to deal with it again. And I remember the last time I was in like super lean shape, I was like 24 years old. This is over 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Yeah, I was 24, 25 years old and I just had a rail thin waistline. And I looked like basically like I did when I was 18 again. And I had gone through a brief period of where I got a little pudgy, but then I lost it. And I was so proud of my physique and I said, never again am I gonna put on weight again. I'm gonna stay here. But then as things progressed, I had friends come to me and they're like, dude, you're getting too skinny actually now. Like you need to eat something. And so I did, and then I just slowly started gaining weight again. And you know, that's led me to where I am now, to where I actually need to lose weight. The point is I'm really captivated by that idea of getting the weight off and never having it again. Not dropping it for a season, not getting a beach bod for a summer, no. Not doing it for a fad. No, what I'm talking about is losing it permanently. Developing the practices to keep it off forever. And I think this walking is the cheat code. It's the cheat code because like I talked about in my last video, walking is steady state. It's low impact. It won't release ghrelin. It's like the only thing you can do, the only exercise you're going to be able to do that's not going to release ghrelin. And so what does that mean? You might have to walk for 2 hours a day. You might have to, if you're serious, you might want to walk for 3 or 4 hours a day. Today I'm probably coming up on about 3 right now. Tomorrow it'll probably be 2 hours or an hour and a half, whatever. I'm not rushing this. This is a lifestyle. And so walking is the cheat code, because the key factor is time and lack of ghrelin impact. When you don't beat up your muscles, when you don't tear up muscle, your ghrelin response, your hormonal ghrelin response within the coming hours and days does not raise to a significant degree. Let's say a normal person eats 2,000 calories in a day, right? When I run, I'll eat 2,000 calories in a day and then I'll run. Then the next day I need 3,500 calories. I'm hungry all day, okay? It's not like that with walking. I eat 2,000 calories in a day, I walk for 3 hours, I'm no more hungry the next day, right? That's the difference. You're not hungry the next day. You're fine with it. And especially if you do it slow, you're doing that slow, that gradual genetic adaptation into becoming that leaner version of yourself. You know, I used the analogy before, guys that hike Everest, it takes them 3 months because they have to acclimatize. They don't just get dropped off at the top of Everest, they die within seconds. No, what they have to do is they have to buy all the expensive gear and get the Sherpas to carry their stuff, and they have to spend $100,000 and take 4 months off from work to allot to you know, you start at an altitude, you acclimatize, you get to this next base camp, you stay there for weeks, just hang out, just get used to the altitude. It's like, what are they doing? You know, they're not getting in shape. What they're doing is they're acclimatizing physiologically to those conditions. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to acclimatize physiologically to be a lower body mass, period. To have less fat. And so I want to be sub 10% body fat, and it just takes time. Famous actor Paul Rudd, who doesn't age, except for in the last Deadpool movie, he aged a lot. But for Ant-Man, when he took on the role of Ant-Man, he was never an in-shape guy. I read an article back in the day from the guy that trained him, and then another guy that went through this same training regimen, and this guy wrote, you know, this wasn't Paul Rudd, this is the other guy that did the training. He said he was amazed by the lack of weight training that was involved, but the amount of time spent walking he was supposed to do. Essentially, they made him walk 4 hours a day. They didn't give him the number of steps. I think they gave him time. And yeah, he started developing a six-pack within like a month, 2 months. He dropped. Now, he was also eating small meals, chicken breast, broccoli, laying off the carbs, you know, basically doing my nightmare diet, what I would consider a nightmare diet. But this dude got really lean. I remember him saying he cheated. He had a bite of a cupcake and a sip of champagne on his anniversary, and it set him back some progress. But now I'm not looking to go that extreme. I'm not looking to be screen ready. I'm not looking to be Paul Rudd, super ripped in Ant-Man. But I am looking to get below 10% body fat. I still love my carbs. And speaking of carbs, Mike Doucette brought up a really good point about eating carbs and then cutting body weight. So apparently he eats a fair amount of carbs, and he knows that if he needed to lose 10 pounds in a day, it'd be cake for him. It'd be so easy for him, because when you eat carbs, you retain water. All he would have to do to lose a significant amount of body weight in a short amount of time, all he'd have to do is basically switch to a ketogenic diet for a very short amount of time and just pee a lot of water weight out. It's really interesting. Now, the reason for that is because the carbohydrates keep the glycogen stores very high in the muscle. The glycogen is essentially your fast energy that's ready to break down. That comes from carbohydrates. So he would just deplete those really quick and lose a lot of weight. Now, think about people on paleo, people on carnivore, and people that go carb-free. They have hardly any glycogen in their muscles, and so they don't have that explosive energy, that sprint energy ready all the time. Now, there are 5% of people that acclimate very well to it and that do have that energy. I'm definitely not that guy. I am very well carb adapted. I am not keto adapted at all. I don't get the keto flu, but that's different. When I'm doing keto and or paleo, I'm just on fumes all the time. I'm just sluggish and I'm not excited about anything. And I'm just like, the other big thing that I talked about, I'm bored. I'm just not happy. Truly, I'm not happy. Like, it's not exciting, and I'm bored and I'm demoralized when I'm on keto. And I've done it for weeks on end, and I never recover. Like, I'm just always like that. I do believe that I'm meant to have carbs personally. Not everybody needs it though, but I do. So what I'm getting at is there is an advantage to consuming a moderate amount of carbohydrates. If you're somebody that needs to cut really quick, you can cut in a very short amount of time. I'm talking days. You could cut pounds within days by just dropping the carbs.
You know, he was saying also that like your carbs were too low.
Never said his carbs were too low. Well, ask that specific question because the more carbs you have, the more water you're storing in form of muscle glycogen. And so when it comes down to getting dehydrated, if you're on a higher carb diet, you're going to be able to lose more water. And so, for example, my carb intake is very high right now. And so if I had to cut 10 or 15 pounds in a day, it'd be easy. I weighed 187 pounds this morning. If somebody said, you have to weigh 177 pounds by tomorrow, I could do it. Why? Because I have a lot of carbs. I stop eating carbs. I'm going to start peeing out all that water. I'm going to flatten out and lose all that muscle glycogen. But if I'm already on a low carb diet, for example, if I'm on keto, I'm already flat. I already don't have that muscle glycogen. And so I have less water that my body's able to lose. Is it making sense now? I mean, if you want to ask questions to Coach Greg, I could educate you. I'm willing to do that. I like helping people. And so why not get the facts correct? It didn't say he's not eating enough carbs. I said you're on a low carb diet, therefore you have less water retention in your body and it's going to be harder to make weight.
You'll just pee that body weight out when you stop with the carbs. You stop with the water retention, it just comes right out. Yeah, there's other methods to losing weight quickly. A lot of bodybuilders, they'll rely on diuretics and things like that. It's really unhealthy stuff, really extreme stuff. But the number one way to lose weight is just spend more of your day not doing the activity of walking, but in a state of walking. The most natural state the human body has evolved to be in. Walking. It's not an activity. It is a state of being. With that, I'll shut it down. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Please let me know if you're enjoying these walking videos. Oh, and I've been getting trolled in some of my videos recently. You know, people are saying like I'm acting like a douchebag or something. I started to get kind of self-conscious about that, so I looked it up. You know, how to appear as less of a douchebag. And the number one tip was actually pop your collar. So I decided I'd start walking around with my collar popped. So hopefully that makes me look like less of a douchebag. Anyways, let me know in the comments if it's working. What do you guys think? Anyways, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Dale's Other Works, end of transmission.